Hello, guys. Good evening, and welcome back to another episode of KJ's What Happened, covering September 3rd through September 10th. So thanks again for being here. I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you had a good week so far. And hope you're ready for some wild stuff. We got quite a bit to go through here tonight, covering a wide range of subjects. Also, I had a video I've been working on for a few weeks. It was ready to go last night. And then today, my editing program started messing up. And by that, I mean it's not saving the whole video, just bits and pieces. So I'm just going to wind up redoing that, and it should be up in a few days. So just thanks for your patience with my videos, as always, and my shows, and I really appreciate you. Anyway, enough about me. Chubbs is here, by the way. He's behaving, so I don't know if we'll get a meow out of him or not tonight. Maybe. I've always said I could take this meaty hand of mine and squeeze his little neck. I'm sure I could get a meow out of him, but I don't think he'd appreciate that very much. So here's the first story. Thousands to attend barbecue outside home of vegan who sued neighbors over smelly meats. You guys might remember this. We covered this story last week where this lady was suing her neighbors because of the smell of the barbecue. So it turns out there was some backlash. Thousands of people are roasting an Australian vegan. Get it? Roasting? See what they did there? An Australian vegan who took her neighbors to court over the smell of meat and fish from their barbecue by planning a massive cookout outside her home. Scylla Carden, sounds like a villain's name, doesn't it? Scylla Carden made headlines this week for her legal beef. There they go again, in which she claimed the odors from her neighbors' barbecues had destroyed her quality of life. Now more than 3,000 people are planning to attend a cookout outside of her Perth home, organized on a Facebook page called Community Barbecue for Scylla Carden. All right, fun, good times. Here we go. I think that's her. That's Scylla Carden. Edmond police released disturbing 911 calls following double murder-suicide. So this is from my home state, and I saw the the news footage when this whole thing went down, and wow, this was really shocking, this one. And I don't know, I just felt the need to share. I don't even know if let's see how much plays here.
Get here for with that chilling.
Okay, just check this out. But I mean, it just really affected me. Anyway, check it out for yourself. I just wanted to share. It's not a happy story, I'll say that, but it's interesting, I thought.
911 call from the crime scene of a double murder-suicide in Edmond.
Now, we want to warn you before we show you that video, what you're about to hear is very disturbing.
Listen carefully, very carefully. My name is Scott Garber. I just killed my wife and my friend because they slept together. My 11-year-old daughter is in the house. I'm out on the front lawn. By the time you get here, I will be dead.
An Edmond father and husband.
That's pretty much all, I really need to share. But it ended that way. He wound up taking his own life as well. So, yuck. And how many of us have been in that kind of a situation where you were cheated on or where someone broke your heart? You know what that feels like. It's a good thing we all don't act out, obviously. But wow. It's just one of those stories, I think, that, it affects most of us. Most of us have been in a situation. We didn't go that far, of course, but we've been hurt. And sometimes you want to lash out, hopefully not to that degree. I always do the reverse. Like if I get hurt by somebody in any way, I just disappear from their lives, like I kind of hibernate from them. Maybe some of you do that too. Anyway, moving on. NRA unanimously voted as domestic terrorist organization by supervisors in San Francisco. There really is a war going on right now. We're in it. We're seeing America under attack from within on every level. It's been going on really hardcore for the last few years. Many of us saw this coming, a decade ago or more. And now we're here and we're seeing it. I still think it's crazy that they completely and totally depersoned Alex, Mr. Jones. It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, he used to be just one of the biggest things ever on YouTube. And he had massive reach. And obviously, he's a controversial figure. He's responsible for waking a lot of people up, even myself, with his footage from the Bohemian Grove is what initially got me into looking into things. So, but anyway, I'm rambling. So here we go. The San Francisco Board of Supervisors has just voted to designate the National Rifle Association a, quote, domestic that organization. According to Breitbart, the San Francisco Board of Supervisors voted unanimously on Tuesday to declare the NRA that word again. Okay, here we go. Here we go. There is a war going on within the country. I show you guys a lot of that news on these shows from week to week as well, about just how basic American values are completely under attack right now. Mainstream media took money from Epstein to print positive puff pieces about the convicted pedo. As independent media journalists and outlets reporting on all things Jeffrey Epstein continue to find themselves under the microscope, some important revelations about mainstream media's reporting of the convicted pedo have come to light, thanks to the New York Times. The double standard by which social media platforms, fact checkers, and news consumers alike judge independent versus mainstream media is, in short, incredibly unfair. Every time information about the ills of mainstream media surface, it's important to take note and adjust the lens through which one consumes mainstream media accordingly. This latest revelation regarding the less than transparent side of mainstream media involves outlets like Forbes, National Review, and HuffPost, and Epstein's attempt to improve his public image after his stint in the Palm County jail back in 2009 after he pled guilty to 2 prostitution charges for soliciting a minor in Florida in 2008 in an attempt to avoid Fed charges related to sexually abusing little girls. His efforts resulted in the publishing of multiple puff pieces casting the deceased financier as an intelligent and selfless businessman with a passion for science. And while Epstein was indeed a philanthropist, these articles failed to mention his criminal past or current controversies. While all 3 articles referenced have been deleted since the report, the New York Times included quotes from each. The Forbes.com article posted in 2013 praised him as, quote, one of the largest backers of cutting-edge science around the world, unquote, while making no mention of his criminal past. The National Review piece from the same year called him a smart businessman with a passion for cutting-edge science. The HuffPost article from 2017 credited Mr. Epstein for taking action to help a number of scientists thrive during the Trump era, a time of anti-science policies and budget cuts, it says. We know this. We know the media is completely corrupt. I see it as, in a lot of ways, as good news that the whole term fake news is out there, that so many people are waking up to actual fake news. There are negative sides as well. There's always anarchy, right? There's always a civil war, things like this. Let's hope we don't get there. But everything's coming out. Everything that was once hidden is being exposed. We see this. I've been talking about it for years. The veil's lifting. I believe everything's coming out. Everything's truly being exposed. It's just another example here. Jump around a little here. Last week I showed you guys a video of it was a news story, and it was of a guy in a Tesla on cruise control, or I guess auto drive, and he was passed out behind the wheel. And now we have another one. Bizarre video shows Tesla driver apparently asleep on Massachusetts Pike. And this is from just 2 days ago. So here's a new one. It's pretty crazy. If it plays. It's down here. Maybe I need to enable it. There we go. Here it is. There it be.
Well, here's a frightening scene. A driver asleep at... Whether it's time to get to work.
Ugh. Sorry, there's ads. Hold on.
The wheel as his car cruises along the Mass Pike. The car set to autopilot. That concerned a passing motorist who sent us the video. And as far as we know, the driver and passenger of that self-driving car arrived safely to their destination. WBZ's Tiffany Chan joins us live now from the Mass Pike with more. Tiffany?
Ken, the makers of these self-driving vehicles say people should always be alert with both hands on the wheel, but that wasn't the case for one driver along the Mass Pike today who appeared to be completely asleep. A fellow driver says he was so surprised by what he saw, he just had to capture the moment.
It was just so strange and baffling that I just looked a couple times.
Something so bizarre. Dakota Randall did a double take while driving on the Mass Pike through Newton.
And I thought I saw somebody asleep at the wheel, but I wasn't sure, so I did a double take, and sure enough, there was somebody with his head right between his legs.
This cell phone video shows a fellow driver hunched over, seemingly fast asleep at the wheel of a self-driving car. Dakota says he was driving home to Walpole after working as a writer for Nesson and had to snap a video.
I thought, well, I should record this, and then I thought I shouldn't record this because it's also unsafe, but it was just so bizarre that I was like, I have to get this on video because it's so strange.
The woman in the passenger seat also knocked out. Dakota says he tried to wake them up, even honking his horn to no avail, all while cars were buzzing by. You be, I guess, trusting enough or brave enough to...
No, especially in Boston. Like, and it's scary enough. I mean, when I go in and out of the city every day, I'm always worried that I'm going to get cut off or clipped or something.
It's the way of the future, it seems, a trend that Dakota says he's not sure he's on board with quite yet.
It was strange, you know. Like, it looked like they needed to go home and go to bed.
The Massachusetts State Police says there's technically no...
What do you think about that, man? Can you imagine driving down the highway and seeing someone cruise by on autopilot in one of these Teslas? And I imagine that's the future. Obviously, maybe not, but it could be going that way, where eventually that's going to be, multiple not dealerships, but people who make the cars, like Chevy and Ford and Toyota and all these different companies. Once they get that patent and that go, I mean, I imagine that'll be the future, right? Like they'll all have autopilot, something like this eventually. Maybe that is what's coming. How crazy is that? I'd be really scared to sleep in a car, just on autopilot. I can't imagine. What about you guys? Would you do that? Would you fall asleep on autopilot? Bluebells, police team up with Amazon Ring to hand out free camera doorbells worth 89. I never know if it's pounds or quid. I'm not sure. To thousands, we'll say $89 to thousands of households across Britain. Let's check this out. The move to distribute the Ring devices has, however, raised Big Brother fears about the close relationship between a private company and the police. The internet-enabled doorbells are triggered by movement and begin recording as someone approaches the front door, with the householder notified via mobile. The company, reportedly bought by Amazon for $1 billion, and the police said the devices deter intruders and capture evidence that helps bring criminals to justice. 4 forces have been given the devices to pass on to residents, the Sunday Times reports. Another 5 have promoted the all-seeing doorbells. Love it. They tell you right there, this is what it is. This really is just another example of the grid being put in place. I get the appeal. That's what they always do. That's how they started microchipping pets. That's why they want to microchip kids. It's the same thing, the same argument. Never have to worry about your kid getting taken again. Another 5 have promoted the all-seeing doorbells with money off vouchers or discount code, with others reportedly in talks with Ring. Working with Ring. Of the 33, there it is. We find the magic number 33 in a lot of these coded stories, don't we? Of the 33 that responded, nearly half had worked with Ring or promoted its products or were considering doing so. Also, the police in England are heavily Masonic. I think that's pretty much out in the open out there, isn't it? But they are heavily Masonic. I mean, you see the checkerboard, of course, but yeah. So we have a story about the Masonic police putting in the grid for the beast system, and we find the number 33 within that story. I'm not surprised. Of the 33 that responded, nearly half had worked with Ring or promoted its products or were considering doing so. Suffolk has been provided 1,000 free Ring doorbells, and the force's Detective Superintendent Andy Smith of Suffolk Police defended the partnership with the company. "This is massively powerful for us," he said. "We have had at least 4 prolific criminals captured as a consequence of Ring doorbells." He added that having spoken to a number of victims, these devices have provided real reassurance. Ring has also reportedly been given the go-ahead to sign a $243,000 sponsorship deal with the Met Police to hand out 1,000 video doorbells to crime victims and people living in burglary hotspots. Okay. What do you guys think about that? Oh, okay. This one here. Sportsbet's new iPhone app. Okay, this, of all things, has to do with Flat Earth. Mark Sargent is one of the more well-known names in the Flat Earth kind of community. I don't really follow Flat Earth. I'm not a believer in Flat Earth myself, but I'm familiar with some of the bigger names, and I know he's one of them. Anyway, he's in this commercial. It's a commercial for a Sportsbet's iPhone app. But I just thought this is interesting. What do you, the people out there watching who are into Flat Earth, what do you think about this? Check this out.
Fools. They are everywhere. Cheers. Not a compliment. And they come in all shapes and sizes. Here we go. Who better to test the new foolproof iPhone app from Sportsbet than these Einsteins?
I personally believe that apps like such as Sportsbet, they make it easier for people to use, such as some
I'm with you.
people.
Yep, it's so easy. Even Botox Bradley here can use it without raising an eyebrow.
I'll never butt your head to head again.
And you make it look so natural. Carol here thinks you...
Seems too good to be true.
Unlike your imaginary prick, even Flat Earth expert Mark Sargent could use it. A bloke who thinks space is fake.
I could do this standing on my head.
Thanks, Gravity. Even this idiot abroad can use it.
Yeah, it's dead easy. Ouch, man!
See you in the NT News, mate.
And we gotta save those.
It's better when it's flat.
It's just a tad bit light, that's all. Because they're not real.
When it's flat. It's better when it's flat. It's better when it's flat.
I don't know. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that? Is that spreading the message in a good way? I mean, it's on a commercial with, you know, losers, they're calling them, right? The freaks, the weirdos. I mean, is that the way you would want Flat Earth to be promoted? I don't know. I'm not really into it myself, but just thought I would share that and see what you think. Biological age of humans reversed by years in groundbreaking study, scientists suggest. Scientists might be able to reverse process of aging. A new study suggests volunteers who were given a cocktail of drugs for a year actually, quote, aged backwards, losing an average of 2.5 years from their biological ages, according to the new study. Wow, that's interesting. The research showed that the marks on their genomes that represent their epigenetic clock, as well as their immune systems, actually improved despite the passing of time. The scientists involved in the study were shocked by the results. This is from The Independent. I'd expected to see slowing down of the clock, but not a reversal, researcher Steve Horvath from the University of California said. It felt kind of futuristic. Scientists caution that the study was done with a very limited number of participants. Only 9 people took the drug cocktail, and there was no control group. But if it is confirmed by further research, it could have huge impacts on healthcare, the treatment of disease, and how people think about aging. In the study, participants were given a growth hormone and 2 diabetes medications. Scientists then monitored the test subjects' epigenetic clocks to understand the effect on how they aged. The epigenetic clock is measured by the body's epigenome, a record of chemical changes to an organism's DNA. As people age, chemical modifications or tags are added to people's DNA, and those change throughout their lives. So by looking at those tags, a person's biological age can be measured. Researchers had actually intended to look at how the growth hormone would change the tissue in the thymus gland, which helps with the body's immune functions and sits in the chest. It normally shrinks after puberty, but they hoped to see whether it could be pushed to regrow by giving participants the growth hormone. It was only as a secondary consideration that researchers then checked how the drugs changed their epigenetic clocks. The study had finished when the analysis began. Okay, that's interesting, eh? There you go. That's no comments. Well, a lot of these online news sources have taken out the comment sections as well, by the way. I don't know if you knew that or have noticed that yourself, but a lot of them have done that. Okay, there you go. I think that's interesting. We'll have to see where that goes. Home security system installer who installed cameras into staggering number of kids' bedrooms sentenced to life in prison. I should hope so.
A former home security company technician who admitted to spying on teens. Security company technician who admitted to spying on teens.
It comes just months after 2 Nichols Hills families found secret cameras inside of their homes. Ryan Alden back in court today, all to learn his punishment. News 4's Cassandra Sweetman joins us now live. And Cassandra, that punishment, we understand, was just handed down.
That's right, Eli. Heather, the judge gave him a life sentence. Now, when this investigation began, there were 2 families victimized by Alden. He was supposed to be trusted to install security systems in their homes, but he installed secret cameras in their children's bedrooms and bathrooms. But police found video on his cell phones and computers of countless victims, both in their homes as well as at public restrooms, gyms, even church. Now, Alden's attorney argued that he could be treated so that he wouldn't repeat his crimes, but the judge was not moved. In fact, she said if she could have Alden castrated, she would, before handing down the life sentence.
Ouch. That's harsh. It's always good news, though, when we see one of these creepers getting caught. But just, where was he? Here he is. Yeah, man, just... I see people like that. Just the way I see stuff, I just see them filled with demonic energy. It's like they went too far with their lusts. You know, they listened to those whispers and those little voices, you know. They listened for too long. They went too far. And eventually they just stopped listening to God. Maybe some of them never listened to him in the first place. I don't know. But Drew Brees defends making video backed by anti-LGBTQ group. And this gets back into the whole love is love thing. I've talked a lot about that. That's one of the ways I believe they'll persecute Christians further. They're already doing it now. It's going to be on the LGBTQ angle because they're going to say that we're unloving and we're hate mongers and stuff like this. So we've already seen a lot of examples of that coming out. Here's another one now. New Orleans Saints quarterback Drew Brees says he wasn't aware when he shot a video promoting Take Your Bible to School Day that the organization behind it was known for its anti-LGBTQ stance or discrimination of any kind. And I wonder if it's just a biblical stance. Yeah, I'm sure that's probably all it is. They're just taking the biblical stance. And of course, it's in this world, in our world now, it's called anti-LGBTQ or hate speech, right? Or discrimination. I was not aware of any of these things they said about them lobbying for anti-gay, any type of messaging for inequality, of any type of hate type related stuff. I was not aware of that at all. An animated Brees said to reporters after practice Thursday. He earlier Instagrammed and tweeted a response to recent articles that highlighted the video he made to promote the day. It's a 20-second video that was featured by Focus on the Family, a Christian group with a record of opposition to gay lifestyles. How dare they? How dare they? There he is. That's when he, you can look it up if you actually want to see footage of it, but I watched it on in another place, but online, not here. But if you want to watch it, you can. It's just, it's the cancel culture. It's outrage culture. So he's that deer in headlights. It's like the video we showed last week of that young blonde white reporter watching a video of monkeys, and her fellow reporter was a young black man. And at one point she said that one of the gorillas in the video looked like him, right? Not good. And then there was an apology, and you could see that same look in her eyes that he has here. And that's really, I think, part of the mind control as well of this beast system and all this cancel culture, we call it, and outrage culture. I see it all as spiritual anyway. So people are losing it. People are losing it. And, people that have things to lose are terrified of losing it. Celebrities, specifically, a lot of these celebrities or people on TV, right? They've got a lot to lose, a lot of worldly things to lose, of course, endorsement deals, everything else. So there you go. So he did the apology, and that was that. He says, the only thing I was promoting was bring your Bible to school day. Brees has never made a secret of his religious faith and has also appeared in anti-bullying videos and promotions. Let's let my actions speak louder than any of my words, he said. Okay. There you go. All right. I was going to put this in a video, but instead I'll just play it out for you. But, this is the way I see this story here. This is all about the Jezebel spirit. I've done videos on the rise of the Jezebel, in our culture now and in our world, also connected with Mother Goddess worship, the rise of the ancient religions and the pagan traditions, the rise of the witches. And we see this also connected with third wave feminism. That's such a nice term, really, compared to what we're seeing with some of these people. It doesn't sound as intimidating as it should. Third wave feminism. And anyway, check it out. What do you think? What do you think about this?
Catherine Sears works as a part-time prostitute when she's not in the courtroom. KCCI's Laura Terrell has the exclusive eye-opening interview, but we do have to warn you, some of the topics and photos in this story may not be appropriate for all viewers.
I like sex. Sex is fun, and I can get paid for it.
She's a Des Moines attorney and a part-time prostitute. Yes, you heard that right.
Those are typically two things that don't go hand in hand. Not openly, right?
Catherine Sears started working as a prostitute 3 years ago at the age of 27. She travels to Nevada where prostitution is legal. She says working in a brothel there is something she always wanted to do.
You can make a job out of this. That's fantastic. Why would I not do this?
Sears admits she is painfully shy, but feels empowered being a sex worker. She says she's so passionate about decriminalizing prostitution, she wanted to speak on camera about her mission.
I think the more we talk about it, the better our chances are of getting the decriminalization that we're pursuing. We're not going to have legislative change if we're passive about it.
Certain situations.
Okay.
Sears and her husband John met at Drake Law School a few years ago when she was already working as a prostitute. The couple is now practicing criminal defense law together in Des Moines.
What do you think of your wife being a prostitute?
I don't really care that much.
The couple sees prostitution as any other job, one where consent is required, and Sears has the right to say yes or no to clients.
Prostitution is consensual sex.
Sears typically travels to Nevada where she works in a brothel for 3 weeks at a time and then comes back to Iowa for a week at home.
How much have you made being a prostitute? I'd have to get my taxes out and look at it. The best I did was I made $55,000 in 3 weeks.
The past year, Sears took time off to focus on practicing law and on her growing family. Her son is 4 months old.
So what do you think is the biggest misconception about prostitution? Prostitutes are people. The prostitutes I've known are some of the best people I've known.
Not everyone is on board with Sears' views. She gets that. but wants to end what she calls the judgmental stigma.
We degrade women who are open about sexuality. You're supposed to be this way, and if you're not this way, you're bad. And if you stray from that, you're also bad. So I think it's a lot of indoctrination.
Sears would like to see Iowa and the entire nation decriminalize prostitution. She's even willing to take prostitution cases on pro bono in the meantime.
Their bodies belong to them, and we have absolutely no reason to be telling them that you cannot condition your consent this way.
And Sears says...
Yikes, right? What do you think about that? It's just, to me, again, it's another example of people are just becoming callous, you know, and they're losing their morality, and they don't even care. You know, at the end of the day, it's all about money. You see how she lit up before she talked about making 55 grand in 3 weeks? I mean, just lit up, didn't she? She was happy, like, yes, yes. I opened myself up to strange men and let them penetrate, and I made 55 G's in 3 weeks for doing it. Face just lit up, happy as could be. You know, I'm not trying to be the the sin pointer over here. You know, oh, look at this person over here and look what they've done. You know, we're all guilty of dirty deeds, but at least some of us, you know, we're trying, right? Some of us are trying to follow the ways of Christ. Some of us have a connection with God. Some of us are trying to be good people, and we fight a lot of these wicked urges or temptations, and that's on the daily. You know, we have to. At least we're aware there's a battle. These people might not even be aware there's a battle. You never know. Or they may be and just don't care. Okay, this one right here I thought was pretty funny. Just, you know, again, on my shows, it's always a little bit, you know, a mixed bag. They can get a little random sometimes. So this is one of those things I saw. These little kids made a diss track on the singer Cardi B, and I thought it was hilarious. And it gives me hope for the little ones, Generation Z, they call them, that they're calling these people out and they see it for what it is, you know, anyway. So let's check some of this out for a little bit. This is a bunch of 10-year-old kids that made this video.
Hey, yo, that's my word. You be smiling like a turd. You belong in a zoo. You be sounding like a bird. We know how you do when you trying to get that worm. That's why you wash up. You remind me of a germ. All that money, now your soul is replaced. They could fix your teeth, but they couldn't fix your face. It's out of this world. You must be from outer space. Going nowhere fast, like you're running in place. I wonder how long it'll last. Cardi, you trash. We don't like you like bullies in class. We turn it up and you ain't make the cut. I don't know what's faker, your life or your butt. And I don't know what's up. Why you so lame? Seems all you do is talk loud and complain. We're in the game, but we're not the same. Make sure you remember Z Nation the name. Z Nation the name.
Goofy little kids. You got to love it. You know, when we were that age, we did silly stuff like that. Of course, when I was that age, we didn't have the internet, and you know, we couldn't do stuff like that and upload it and let the whole world see. Wow, how times have changed. But anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. I thought it was kind of funny. She responds. I don't know if I linked that anywhere or not, but she had a really filthy response. I mean, she really lit into these little kids. Police chief takes his life as he's being arrested for forcing a woman to have relations for her freedom. As Texas Rangers arrived at the home of Maryland Police Chief Nathan Sodek to arrest him on Friday, the 30-year-old top cop allegedly pulled his weapon and took his life. The warrant being served by the Rangers for Sodek's arrest was for the alleged sex assault of a suspect the chief forced to have relations with him for her freedom. According to the report by KWTX, Rangers arrived at his home in Bruceville, Eddy, to serve warrants for having relations with a 35-year-old check forgery suspect who had told investigators in a sworn statement she felt like she, quote, had no other option but to have relations with him if I didn't want to go to jail, unquote. According to her sworn statement, the woman told authorities that she felt powerless and helpless the entire situation. The unnamed woman was arrested earlier this year for attempting to cash a check from the account of a deceased person, However, she was released that same day and told to return to the Marlin Police Department the next day. Police offered her a chance to beat the charges by serving as an undercover informant. According to the statement, she was told that if she, quote, went and made a buy from 3 dealers, that I wouldn't have to worry about the warrant, unquote. Again, quoting, during the entire time of the buys, the chief was messaging me, telling me how beautiful I was and how he wanted to go out with me on St. Patrick's Day to have drinks on 6th Street in Austin. Hey, I've been there. I used to live in Austin. 6th Street's great. The inappropriate texting would eventually turn into full-on sex assault, however, when the chief had the woman meet him at Marlin City Park to discuss another undercover buy. Instead of discussing the buy, the chief pulled out his wiener, according to the statement, and proceeded to, to take over the woman. After it was over, the woman claims the chief dropped her off at a gas station and told her, quote, nobody needs to find out about this, unquote. While the chief was certainly innocent until proven guilty, his actions the day he was going to be arrested imply otherwise. All right, man, there we go. A dirty policeman there. Johnson & Johnson ordered to pay $572 million for fueling the opioid epidemic. I wasn't sure if I'd covered this one before. It's from August 26th, but I wanted to throw it in there anyway. This is huge. In the first of potentially thousands of verdicts against pharmaceutical companies accused of inciting the opioid epidemic, an Oklahoma judge on Monday ruled that Johnson & Johnson must pay a $572 million penalty for allegedly helping to fuel the opioid epidemic with irresponsible marketing practices. Judge Thad Balkman of Cleveland County District Court in Norman, Oklahoma, issued the ruling shortly after 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday. The penalty was only a fraction of the roughly $17 billion that the plaintiffs had been seeking, helping send J&J shares rocketing higher in the after-hours session. Isn't that something? One for the good guys, huh? Chinese national was, quote, weird, strange during a Mar-a-Lago trespass, witness states. The Chinese national charged with trespassing at Mar-a-Lago, that's Trump's place, right? I think that's Trump's resort, pretty sure. Anyway, the Chinese national charged with trespassing at Mar-a-Lago acted weird and strange from the moment she set foot in President Trump's South Florida retreat, wearing an evening gown in the middle of the day, a receptionist testified Tuesday. Here she is. She looks unwell. I'm just saying. As soon as she entered the lobby, you could see that she was fascinated. She was looking around. Zhang, clad in an evening dress despite it being 1 p.m., stared wide-eyed at the ornate trappings and shot photos and videos on her phone, which members would know is in violation of club rules. When Zhang, there's that number again, 33, when Zhang 33 said that she was there for a UN Chinese function, so if she said she's there for a United Nations Chinese function, Gurmaz stepped away to ask a catering manager if the event was even on the agenda, but not before asking a Secret Service agent to keep an eye on Zhang. By the time she returned, Gurmaz found agents gathered around a bathroom door waiting for Zhang to emerge. There's a hallway, and I could see her texting, walking back and forth on the phone, testified Gurmaz. I called Zhang, and I said, ma'am, can you please step outside? She looked at me. That's what shocked me. She had a blank face. She was totally in control. Zhang was ultimately found to be carrying a trove of spy gear. I'll say that again, spy gear, including a device capable of detecting cameras and a thumb drive loaded with what was initially believed to be malware, though prosecutors have elected not to charge her with espionage. Interesting story. Kind of weird, kind of strange. Not sure what's going on there. A mom marries a tree in front of family and now plans to change her name. All right, here's the it's the happy couple. There we go. A mom of 2 has tied the knot with a tree and now intends to change her surname to reflect the species she married. Kate Cunningham's family and friends looked on as the bizarre wedding ceremony was held in a Maryside park. The 34-year-old bride decided to marry the elder tree in Litherland's Rimrose Valley Park as a stunt to raise awareness about a campaign opposing the construction of a new bypass. The activist from Melling told the Liverpool Echo that she had a hen do the night before and now plans to change her name to Kate Rose Elder by deed poll. I don't know what that means. So this sounds like it was a bit more of a stunt, but we've seen a lot of stories on here through the, has it been a couple of years I've been doing this? I guess through the years of people like marrying bridges. Other people have married trees. Last week, I think I had a story about a lady who married herself. So there you have it. All right. Oh, this is just kind of goofy. Footage captures a moment two ladies managed to squeeze onto a single small mobility scooter. This is just like something, it seems like something like out of The Simpsons. Doesn't it? I mean, that just happened in real life to somebody. All right, there you go. A little short doom break, if you will. California Dem laments presence of God in congressional oaths. It's just preposterous. A congressional Democrat on Sunday said it was preposterous that witnesses are still instructed to say, "So help me God," in their oaths before testifying before Congress, after his Democratic-led committee attempted to remove the God reference from its oaths earlier this year. California Democratic Rep. Jared Huffman made the comments on the Freedom from Religion Foundation's Free Thought Matters program, which bills itself on its website as an antidote to religion on the airwaves and Sunday morning sermonizing. Well, unfortunately, it's been kind of a sporadic standard, Huffman said. Some committees have dropped the oath, others have not. I sit on the Natural Resources Committee, and in our original proposed rules for the committee, we proposed that we drop the oath or we allow witnesses to simply say it voluntarily if they chose to, which to me makes perfect sense. The members of Congress presiding over panels have the authority to decide the contents of the oaths for witnesses. Anyway, we get it. We see what's happening. But again, just it's we see these kind of attacks on God, if you will, right? Not even a denominational thing necessarily, just God in general. We see a lot of attacks on God in America. Meanwhile, we have, of course, like that Desmond, amazing Desmond, 11-year-old drag child, was on Good Morning America. In America, it was like, it's a big show. It's a really big morning show. And, again, just an example of the flip-flop, what's praised and what's pushed and promoted in this culture and, what's hated on and fought against tooth and nail. It says a lot. Eating human flesh could save the planet, Swedish university professor says. By the way, I want to throw this out real quick, guys. To especially you Mad Guns, some of you send me email links to news stories a lot. Please continue. I appreciate it. Okay. I mean, thanks. Some of those that I may not use in the shows, I reserve for using in videos and stuff. So just thanks a lot. I appreciate it. That's why I always say this is a great community. It's not just some one-man show. I think we all kind of work together in a way, and you guys are just so awake and aware out there and send me some great stuff. So Mad Guns Forever's definitely right up there. He does it all the time. So thanks. And anyone else I failed to mention, just everybody. There's several of you. In an interview with TV4, Professor Magnus Soderlund spoke about the controversial topic of a presentation he recently delivered at a food fair in Stockholm, an event based around the food of the future. The topic was eating human flesh as a way to combat climate change. All right, yet another one I need to save. Soderlund and far-left pseudo-environmentalists like him love to lay the blame of the Earth's warming at the feet of meat and farming industries. According to Soderlund, a big-brained professor of marketing and head of Center for Consumer Marketing at the Stockholm School of Economics, one way to limit the production of greenhouse gases is for all of us to simply switch to a human flesh-based diet. Easy, right? During the interview segment, Soderlund tells the host that the primary obstacle to the proposal is the taboo surrounding the consumption of dead human beings. He generously concedes that most individuals are slightly conservative when it comes to consuming food that they're not used to, like human meat. Recently, the same far-left pseudo-environmentalists and their allies in the mainstream of media have gone on a propaganda campaign to promote the less revolting idea of eating insects as a way to save the planet for global warming. Ugh. With all of this in mind, it's fair to say that it's only a matter of time before trendy restaurant establishments are serving their patrons fried centipedes paired with cuts of human bicep femoris, medium rare, of course. Gross. Can you imagine? And they're already doing that, I believe, in Japan. I'm pretty sure that I've had a story on here that was pretty sure it was from Japan, where there's a restaurant, I don't know if it's still open, that was serving human meat. You guys remember that? Maybe you can look it up. Dave Chappelle's controversial new Netflix special is given a rare 0 rating by critics on Rotten Tomatoes following backlash over his jokes about Michael Jackson and R. Kelly sex scandals, but fans hit back by awarding it with a 99% approval rating. Just another example, man. You know, the censorship thing, it's not just on YouTube. It really is a virus, and we've seen it spread now, and we've seen it through PayPal's done it to some people, Patreon's done it to some people. Facebook, of course, Twitter, all the big ones, constantly censoring, shadow banning people. So it's a virus, and now we're seeing it over at Rotten Tomatoes. You know, I'm a movie geek, always was. It's why a lot of my videos center around entertainment stuff, movies and TV shows. And I've used Rotten Tomatoes for years. I always thought it was really reliable, and it really broke around the time that it Captain Marvel. You know, a lot of the fans hated Captain Marvel, and they hated the actress too, Brie Larson, and that's when we had a story on here where that's when we first saw Rotten Tomatoes actually jacking with the numbers in favor of Hollywood. You know, they tried to make things softer for Brie Larson, right? So they were taking out negative reviews and blocking things. I can't remember the whole gamut of what they did, but they fought back basically. You can look it up. Look up Rotten Tomatoes Captain Marvel, you know, censoring, something like that. But anyway, so now we're seeing it here. So online, it's crazy, man. I mean, it's just becoming harder and harder to trust any sources for anything, isn't it? Because everything's being politicized. I mean, that's the way the world sees it. It's all being politicized. But again, I always say I see it as a separation of the sheep and the goats and the wheat and the tares. It's beyond political stuff. I believe it's spiritual. You know, who has the Spirit of God within? Who has God? Who is with God? Who's connected through Christ? You know, has Christ? Who's the Holy Spirit? It's the way I see it again, right? And then who doesn't? You know, some people may just say who has God and who doesn't. Either way, that's how I see it. It's more of a spiritual kind of a separation we're seeing. Bernie Sanders says that word, the A word, will help fight climate change. 2020 Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders said he supports abortion in part as a way to, the reason by the way, guys, I got to be careful with the words. My last week's KJ's What Happened, I just got an email a few days ago. They age restricted it. So that's the second What Happened I've had age restricted in about a month. So they're really watching all the words and stuff. So I probably say, I obviously say too much or say too many of them. So sometimes when I try to mess with the words, that's it. But I don't know. It might be a lost cause for this show. So we'll see. A member of the audience asked the Vermont senator about human population growth during CNN's Climate Town Hall Wednesday. She specifically asked whether he would support measures to curb the growth. The audience member added that the planet cannot sustain this growth, and empowering women and educating everyone on curbing the population seems reasonable. Sanders said he supports women being able to control their own bodies and have that operation when answering the climate change question. Excuse me. Okay, there we go. Climate change. The way they use it is one of the biggest hoaxes ever. I've covered that a lot in the past. They still use it. We're programmed for it too. It's in a lot of movies and TV shows, the climate change, you know. Douglas Murray, how did the world lose its marbles? A new dogma has turned to beliefs that once seemed common sense into hate crimes. If you say the wrong thing, you'll be thrown to the wolves. I read some of this. I thought it was good. It was interesting. I want to read some of this to you guys. First, though, I need to take a drink here real quick. Unsweet iced tea with stevia. That's it. It's simple, you know? Okay, so here we go. Thanks once again for being here, guys. It's been almost an hour. Still got plenty to go, so thanks again for spending your Tuesday evening here with us, all right? Or, if you're watching this later, thanks for taking time out of your day just to check it out. We're going through a great mass derangement. In public and in private, people are behaving in ways that are increasingly irrational, feverish, herd-like, and unpleasant. The news is filled with the consequences, yet while we see the symptoms everywhere, we don't see the causes. Various explanations have been given, usually involved, and also while I'm reading this, almost look at it through the context of the separation, you know, the sheep and the goats, if you will, the wheat and the tares. Various explanations have been given, usually involving Donald Trump, Brexit, or both, but these explanations don't get to the root cause of what's happening. For beneath all the day-to-day madnesses over race, sex, sexuality, gender, and the rest are much greater movements and much bigger events. Even the origin of this mass derangement is rarely acknowledged. This is the simple fact that we've been living through a period of more than a quarter of a century in which all our grand narratives about our existence have collapsed. Religion went first, falling away from the 19th century onwards. Then, over the past century, the secular hopes held out by all political ideologies followed. In the latter part of the 20th century, we entered the postmodern era, defined by its suspicion towards grand narratives. However, nature abhors a vacuum. People in today's wealthy Western democracies could not simply remain the first people in recorded history to have no explanation for what we are doing here and no story to give life purpose. The question of what exactly we are meant to do now, other than get rich and have fun, was going to have to be answered by something. The answer that has presented itself in recent years has been to live in a permanent state of outrage, to find meaning by waging constant war against anybody who seems to be on the wrong side of a question to which the answer has only just been altered. The bewildering speed of this process has been principally caused by the Silicon Valley giants, notably Google, Twitter, and Facebook. They have the power not just to direct what most people in the world know, think, and say, but have a business model which has accurately been described as relying on finding, quote, customers ready to pay to modify someone else's behavior, unquote. But today's wars of ideas are not random. They're consistently being fought in a new and particular direction. And that direction is a purpose that is vast. The purpose, unwitting in some people, deliberate in others, is nothing less than to embed a new religion into our societies. Though the foundations have been laid over several decades, it is only since the financial crash of 2008 that there's been a march into the mainstream of ideas that were previously known solely on the obscurest fringes of academia. The interpretation of the world through the lens of social justice and identity group politics is probably the most audacious and comprehensive effort since the end of the Cold War at creating a new ideology. To date, social justice has run the furthest because it sounds, and in some versions is, attractive. Even the term is set up to be impossible to argue with. You're opposed to social justice? What do you want? Social injustice? It's like Antifa, right? Anti-fascist, but they're fascists. The attractions are obvious. After all, why should a generation which can't accumulate capital have any great love of capitalism? And it isn't hard to work out why a generation who believe they may never own a home could be attracted to an ideological worldview which promises to sort out every inequality. The place where social justice finds its warriors is identity politics. This atomizes, I think I said atomizes. This atomizes society into different interest groups according to sex or gender, race, sexual preference, and more. It presumes that such characteristics are the main or only relevant attributes of their holders and that they bring an added bonus. As the American writer Coleman Hughes has put it, it assumes there is, quote, a heightened moral knowledge, unquote, that comes with being black or female or gay. It's why people start statements with speaking as a, and this new religion is something that people both living and dead must be on the right side of. I'm saving this story too. It's a good one. That's why there are calls to pull down statues of historical figures viewed as being on the wrong side, and it's why the past needs to be rewritten to suit any interest group you wish to champion, or the New World Order in this case. Identity politics is where minority groups are encouraged to simultaneously atomize, organize, and go on the attack. Tied into this is something social justice warriors call intersectionality. The notion that there is a hierarchy of oppressed minorities in society should organize itself around correcting this. Today, intersectionality is broken out from the social science departments of the universities from which it originated into the mainstream, and it's now taken seriously by millennials and has become embedded via employment law through a commitment to diversity in all major corporations and governments. The speed at which the social justice causes have taken over everyday life is staggering. I agree. Great sentence. The speed at which the social justice causes have taken over everyday life is staggering. Absolutely. I mean, it just feels like it came from out of nowhere, right? And then bam, here we are. Pre-Trump, pre-Trump, it wasn't like this. Trump was definitely the trigger, for a lot of this stuff. Not giving him the credit. I'm just saying in general, the fuse was already there, been there for a long time. He just lit, got it lit. Him and other factors. The speed at which the social justice causes have taken over everyday life is staggering. Once obscured phrases such as LGBTQ, white privilege, the patriarchy, and transphobia are suddenly heard everywhere. Even though, in the words of mathematician Eric Weinstein, they were all made up about 20 minutes ago. The policing of these issues is an even more recent phenomenon. Researchers found that phrases like triggered and feeling unsafe only spiked in usage from 2013 onwards. It's as though, having worked out what it wanted, the new religion took a further half-decade to work out how to impose its credo on non-believers, but has done so with frightening success. The maddening results can be seen on a daily basis. It's why a British academic study which found muscular, wealthy men are more attractive could be headlined by Newsweek magazine as "Men with muscles and money are more attractive to straight women and gay men, showing gender roles aren't progressing." It's why a previously completely unknown programmer at Google could be sacked for writing a memo suggesting some tech jobs appeal more to men than women. It's why the New York Times ran a piece by a black author with the title, "Can My Children Be Friends with White People?" And it's why a piece about cycling deaths in London, written by a woman, was framed through the headline, Roads designed by men are killing women." Such rhetoric exacerbates existing divisions and creates new ones. For what purpose? Rather than showing how we can all get along better, the lessons of the last decade appear to be exacerbating a sense that, in fact, we aren't very good at living with each other. See how long this is. This is super long, so I don't want to just keep reading the whole thing, but I love it. I love where this was going. Douglas Murray is the writer on that. It's on Daily Mail. You can go check it out. How did the world lose its marbles? I just don't want to read the entire thing. Like I said, I think we got to the good points. There we go. If I read the entire article on all these stories, it'd be a really long night. Chubbs would be angry. Wouldn't be good. Next top model scout Jean-Luc Brunel flew poor 12-year-old triplets in from France as a birthday present for Epstein to abuse, unsealed documents claim. The fresh allegations were made by Epstein accuser Virginia Roberts, who claims she was recruited to be a slave by the millionaire financier and his girlfriend Giselle when she was 15 in 1999. She made the allegations in a civil suit filed by the Miami U.S. Attorney's Office in 2015. Okay, we get it. We get it. More on the Epstein. Just want to throw that in there. Here we go. And a lot of big names are going to be falling. We still haven't seen the aftermath yet of all this. And what are your thoughts? I mean, do you think he's really dead? I mean, to me, it's I don't think that he did it himself. They either sent someone in and did it, or they extracted him. I don't know. That's the way I see it. But I think there's still a lot more names that are going to start coming out in the coming months. I don't think we've seen the end of that story yet. North Carolina man claims he spotted not one, not two, but 3 Bigfoots. The man recorded nearly 10 minutes of what he described as an encounter with 3 Bigfoots in the foothills. I think there's video. All right, let's watch this together.
Social media is buzzing after a Hickory man says he captured something amazing on his cell phone camera video of Bigfoot.
Yeah, he recorded this video in McDowell County where several people reported seeing the creature over the years. NBC Charlotte's Brandon Goldner spoke to the man who described his experience.
Despite the signs outside his Hickory home, crazy. Doug Teague and Crazy Daisy strayed away from the wooded trails in McDowell County. He was grabbing some cameras he had set up, hoping they recorded images of a longtime fascination, Bigfoot. As he was walking back to his truck,
then a rock was through. She chased it. I just kind of stopped, took the phone out, gazed the hill, kept looking. He's still up here.
Not just one, he says 3 different Bigfoot stared at him from the hill. This is just a snippet of 10 minutes of video Teague says he recorded.
He's moving.
Just describe to me that moment, just emotionally, just...
Like a giddy school kid. Just nervous, heart beating, just... It was crazy.
He's a member of the Catawba Valley Bigfoot Research Club. McDowell County is considered a hot spot for these sightings, though the path leading to this larger-than-life creature often goes cold. Scientists say there's a logical reason for this. There's no evidence Bigfoot exists. Teague disagrees.
They're real. They're there.
As does Vicky Cook.
It went in front of my camera.
Earlier this summer, she shared this grainy video taken outside her Cleveland County home.
Screamed. I didn't know what it was, but that thing was tall.
With big feet to boot, both Cook and Teague took casts of the creature's feet.
There's probably a lot more evidence than people realize.
Some will scoff, but others, like Cook, Teague, and even his granddaughter,
he's moving, he's moving, he's moving,
believe. In Catawba County, I'm Brandon Goldner, NBC Charlotte.
Is it just me, or have you guys noticed there have been a lot of Bigfoot news stories coming out lately? For the last year, I can think of, it's under a dozen, but still, that's quite a lot, I'd say. Anyway. Hidden fault line directly under Los Angeles threatens a devastating magnitude 7.4 earthquake as analysis reveals the fracture deep beneath the surface is far more active than previously thought. Until now, the Wilmington Fault was so deep below the Earth's surface that it was difficult to study. However, a new analysis published in Bulletin of the Seismological Society of America, and it just stops, America S, okay. Researchers from Harvard, the University of Southern California, and a whole bunch of other groups and places got together. The Wilmington Fault had been believed dormant for millions of years. I always question that too, the whole millions. Do you guys think that Earth has really been here for millions of years? Or you think maybe more like maybe 10,000? I tend to be more in the, maybe somewhere around that, more like the biblical timeline myself. I've always had trouble swallowing the millions of years with the Earth's age. That's just me. Anyway, the long and the short of it is that all these scientists got together and they discovered that the hidden fault line under LA threatens a devastating magnitude 7.4. You think we'll ever live to see Los Angeles actually fall off into the ocean? I lived out there for several years myself and experienced a few earthquakes. Yeah, minor, but they'd shake for a bit, you know. Get your attention. I don't know. I never worried about that when I was out there, about California falling off into the ocean. I mean, if you think about it, that would be a pretty epic way to go. And what would that look like? Like, would it teeter-totter? Like the part that's in the ocean, would it just kind of like push under? And then the red outline there, like where the fault line is or whatever, I guess, would that just kind of like lift up? Be like a plate toppling over a table or something like that. Can you imagine like living through that and seeing that happen? Like feeling the earth topple over that, tossing you into the ocean. I mean, I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but I'm saying if that's the way that you got to go, if you're there and that's what's happening, that's pretty epic. Pretty amazing way to go. I wouldn't want to live through it. I'm just saying, epic way to go. Satanic Temple, more than 50% of our membership is LGBTQ. In an interview with the British magazine Attitude, Lucian Greaves, the co-founder of Satanic Temple in the U.S., says that more than 50% of our membership is LGBTQ, and that's a conservative estimate. And this again shows that connection with this new Baphomet reality we're seeing around us. People are transforming into Baphomets, into half man, half women goats, the way I see it. But it also connects back to LGBTQ and homosexuality and all that as well. Attitude is a best-selling gay magazine founded in 1994. Satanic Temple was founded in 2013, and it promotes a secular humanist agenda. The temple based in Salem, Mass. Denies there's an actual Satan and claims that it does not worship the devil. It would be a conservative estimate to say that more than 50% of our membership is LGBTQ, Greaves told Attitude. I think that's because they feel disowned and disenfranchised from the traditional religious institutions. So you have a population willing to embrace a religious identification that is boldly willing to speak out to the contrary. It's just Satan welcoming them in. Literally, I see that Satan's just arms open. Come on in. I got you. You can live in your sin. It's all right. Feels good to do it, right? Yeah, high five. Within the Satanic Temple, we're all pretty much one and the same, said Greaves. We're all Satanists, and it's not like we have tolerance for trans people or gay people or sex workers. We just don't effing care. And a lot of people in those communities appreciate that. There you have it. All right. People are shooting each other for food and water. Bahamas Hurricane Dorian death toll will be staggering, with thousands still missing as bodies pile up and militias are formed to stop looting. I got a couple videos from the Bahamas we're going to watch here. Let me see. That's not it. There's a couple of them. We'll watch a little bit of each. These are victims of Hurricane Dorian and what they're saying is happening out there right now.
Every house right now in Abaco, if there's not one house in Mashaba that is standing, there's not one absolute building that is standing. All the churches are gone. All the gas stations are gone. All the food stores are gone. All the schools are gone. All the homes are gone. Not literally just saying it to say it. Everything is absolutely gone. There is no life in Abaco, period. The whole island got washed away. Places where that was standing, you can't even tell whether that this place was standing here, what used to exist on this piece of block. Nothing is there anymore. When you walk the town, all the bushes are brown. Bodies, they have people there trying to find bodies, but so many buildings collapsed on top of people. The odor, the scent, everywhere is polluted. Dead bodies everywhere, dead animals, gas.
You see this water here? The water over there darker than that.
Gas, whatever you could think about is polluting the water. People looping, people breaking into the food stores, what is left of the food stores, trying to find food, canned items. They taking these things out, contaminated water. I know because the people I was living at was doing it, bringing the food. And the children, them getting sick. They need to try evacuate every single living thing off that island. They don't need nobody there. I don't care what they talking about. Clean up, they need to do that themselves. They need to take all the children, all the people off the island, everybody. That place is not nowhere for no one to be at the moment. Absolutely destroyed. Absolutely destroyed, Aunt Michelle. When you walking through town, just to see, I can't. I've been there for 3 years. And Abaco.
Okay, there's one. Let's check this guy out.
And I want everybody to know in the world, the Bahamian government is lying. I just spent 3 days of hell in Abaco. And if they want to question me, they could question me because I retrieve a lot of bodies. You understand me? I saw bodies because I was on the ground. I was the only one working search and rescue in Abaco until the defense force and the police came. You understand me? There was an 8-year-old who drowned, and his mother came to me and asked me to go get his body. And I tried for 3 days to get it until we finally get his body. I saw people trapped. I saw bodies swollen beyond recognition that I could not even recognize faces. There are over 200 bodies still trapped in the mud area. And the government talking, but only 20 people died. But y'all better stop playing, y'all. Y'all think y'all can thief up this money, what the people sending to the Bahamas to help the Bahamas. I'm telling y'all, this man menace, you ain't gonna never see the Prime Minister office again after this one.
Okay, I want to back it up and just replay a little bit of that again, because I think it's really important what this guy saw and what's going on out there. We'll play a little bit more of this, though. Here you go.
And the government talking, but only 20 people died. But y'all better stop playing, y'all. Y'all think y'all can thief up this money, what the people sending to the Bahamas to help the Bahamas. I'm telling y'all, this man menace, you ain't gonna never see the Prime Minister office again after this one. You understand me? The people of Abaco need help. I was one of the lucky ones. We had the charter, Bahamas there to get out of Abaco. People, they are charging people to get out of Abaco. You have people in Abaco who are old and cannot work, who do not have no money. The banks are down. You know what I mean? The banks are down. And let's clarify something. There are Haitians in Abaco, right? You got people in the world. Everybody have their ways. But I want you to know something. The older Haitians are not the problem. It's the young Haitian boys who are coming up that think that they are this soul pound thing that is going on. You understand? And that's who is looting and robbing. Because day before yesterday, I went out on a call that they had some people trapping. We went looking for them. And I saw at least 15 of them, and 5 of them had firearms. And they got them from the Ace Hardware. You understand me? Because they broke in the Ace Hardware and they couldn't do nothing. Nobody could do nothing. You understand me? Because there's more Haitians in Abaco than Bahamians. And the government.
Okay, what is this? Anyway, what do you guys think about that, man? That's, I mean, those are just a few days old, both of those videos. So we're not being told, apparently, about what's really going on and the hardcore devastation that's taking place out there right now. So that's definitely something to continue to look for. I'm always trying to find that kind of stuff. Anytime an event goes down somewhere, like I had a video on here, a few videos from Puerto Rico from last year when they got hit really bad and they were out of power for a long time. I think there's areas in Puerto Rico that may still be out of power, but back then it was really bad. And there were a lot of locals putting up videos, man, and showing the devastation. They were showing how the government was lying. Nobody was really being helped. So it's important, try to find these videos early, save them if you can, or at least just get them out there, get them some exposure while you can, right? Get them out to the people. South Africans, again, loot, burn foreign-owned properties. Anytime, no matter where stuff like this takes place, looting and just violence and stuff. I mean, I don't look at the people necessarily from the area or what part of the world it's in as much as the spirit, so it's a violent spirit. And we see it manifesting in a myriad of ways, these days. So South Africans on Sunday began fresh attacks, looting and burning of properties belonging to foreigners in Johannesburg. And I think foreigners is a nice way for them to say the white people. The president, South Africa, not long ago, made it legal to take the land from white owners. Am I wrong? Or from the farmers? Something to that effect, but it got pretty ugly. And there were some videos, just as I was saying, there were some locals out there putting up some videos talking about the attacks and some of the things that were happening at the time. So mostly, at least American mainstream media, we don't ever really hear anything about this. I don't see anything about South Africa. I don't know about you guys, but anyway, it looks like it's going a little crazy out there. 3 people killed in the renewed attacks, while an injured person is still receiving treatment for smoke inhalation, said the president of Nigerian Union, Olubahu, I think you say, I don't know. It's hard for me to pronounce some of these names. Mr. Alubahu said the attacks began on Sunday morning in Jepstown area of Johannesburg when a building was set ablaze by an angry mob. The mob also looted several shops that were around the vicinity, suspected to be owned by foreign nationals, but the police later dispersed the mob and made some arrests, he said in a statement. Late in the evening of Sunday, September 1st, a group of violent locals suspected to be Zulu hostel dwellers besieged Jewel Street, looted and burned shops and businesses. Mass looting in South Africa, trucks on fire, streets awash with rubbish. Before long, all those who turned a blind eye to the slaughter of the white farmer will be begged for food aid. There are such things as feral humans, somebody wrote. Yikes. What's this? This is the aftermath of one of the stores. That's sad. Imagine that was your business. Looks like Mad Max, doesn't it? Looks like Mad Max out there beyond Thunderdome. You ever seen Beyond Thunderdome? The old good Mad Maxes. I don't like this new stuff they're trying to do. That's just me. Mel Gibson, always Mad Max in my mind. It's crazy, huh? Just violence, madness, destruction, spirit of wickedness spreading through the land, right? All around the planet. Shame. Mutant calf born with human face in bizarre video. This is another one of those things I've seen. It seems like maybe every 3 or 4 months there'll be a story comes out about an animal that's born with a human face or born with 2 heads or something strange. Look at this. It's wild, huh? Look at that. It's so wild. Wow. Wow, right? Crazy. Creepy. Some may wonder, somehow could that be a, fallen angel connected? Yeah, I don't know. Unless it was a government experiment, maybe, but what does that mean, right? Because there's all kinds of deformities. I mean, animals, humans are born with deformities all the time. This is a specific type. And again, it's a trend. You've seen a lot of these stories on this show. These animals will have be born with these animal or human faces. Things like that. Strange. It's like a cartoon character. With the hair the way it is, for real, like in the hairline, not trying to be funny, but if you really look at it, maybe from about 5 feet away, it looks like Jack Nicholson. You see it, don't you? Yep, there it is. All right. This one right here, I'll just share with you. I thought it was interesting. This is from my show last week, my last KJ's What Happened. I had one of my subscribers actually emailed me over this, and even the title of the email was, "You said the N-word during your live show," he said. So, of course, I had to read the email. And in the email, he's accusing me of using the N-word. I'll show you. We'll play it, and we'll listen to it together. Tell me if you hear the N-word there. I just wanted to share this, give you an example of some of the fun emails I get to deal with sometimes. All right, so check this out. This one's rough. U.S. TV host apologizes to black co-anchor for saying he looked like a gorilla. Let me see if they have both of them. Here it is. Watch. Check this out. All right. Let's make this a little bigger. That was it right there. You hear it? Congestion treated, and then they got this. All right. Let's make this a little bigger. So what I said is, let's make this a little bigger. If you listen, you can hear me say it. I mumble, but I said, let's make this a little bigger. And the guy said that was me saying the N-word. So I just want to share that with you. Some of the fun emails I get to deal with. People slandering you like this, starting up this really weak gossip. September 2019 boasts the last Palindrome week of the decade. Tuesday marks the beginning of a Palindrome week. For 10 consecutive days, the date, written in the month, day, year format, will be the same forwards and backwards. It shows a bunch of examples here. Palindromes are words, phrases, or sequences that can be read the same forwards as backwards, and depending on which format one uses, palindromic dates can be rare. Now this part's really cool. Check this out. Beginning in 2011, every year has had 10 consecutive palindrome days. In 2011, this occurred in January and has bumped 1 month later in each successive calendar year. The next time a palindrome week will occur in the format month, day, year will be in January of 2021, and then February of 2022, and so on. And that's a big deal because right now we're in the last palindrome week, apparently, until 2021. It's pretty wild, huh? Yeah, 9/19/9 up to there, from 9/10/19. Cool, right? So this right here is our week. That's the month, day, and year. And we are in the last palindrome week until 2021. Interesting, huh? I'm not a big sports fan myself. I do like watching UFC. Big fan of the fights, from time to time. But don't watch any other sports at all. In my family, it's kind of reversed. I'm from the Midwest, so in my family, all the women, like even my aunts and all this, pretty much I'd say like 85% of the women in the family, and I come from a big family, they love sports. Like they're huge into sports. They know statistics. They know the names of the players. I mean, they could talk your ear off about sports, games, statistics, all that stuff. I mean, seriously, like they're really into it. Most of us guys aren't. In fact, I was always more of a sci-fi horror geek as a little kid because my dad was. He was a sci-fi horror geek and raised me with science fiction and horror films. So to escape watching sports, we'd always let mom watch sports in the living room, and then we'd go into the spare room or whatever and watch our movies out there. So, but I thought this is interesting. It's another example of how, America as a concept really is under attack from the inside out now, and it's getting really ugly, and we see that manifesting in different ways. And even in American traditions, you're seeing those really weaken and fall away in some respects. And this is a case. Seats still empty for several teams as NFL's 100th season kicks off. And I was pretty amazed by this stuff too. Tons of them. These are all the tweets. I thought Panthers fans were excited about this season. What's with all the empty seats in the home opener? And that's a lot of empty seats, I got to admit. Looks like a lot of empty seats in Jacksonville. Did the Jaguars forget to tell anyone they had a season opener today? Lots of empty seats. Hard Rock Stadium has a lot of empty seats for the Miami Dolphins season opener. Dolphins fan echoing the sentiments of plenty others feels cheated.
I feel cheated. It's the first game of the season. I'm not gonna stop coming. It's just they gotta understand the fans. We pay good money, our time, everything to come out here At least give us a product that's going to do something.
Well, yeah, we all need our escape. I don't want to be snarky. And they're taking away my programming, you know, anything like that. But I get it. We all need our escapes. You know, I've got mine. Sometimes I like to watch some really dumb reality TV shows. It kind of balances out the brain for me a bit. You know, it's good to turn the head off sometimes. I'm always working on something. I'm working on more than one video at all times. It just takes me time to complete stuff, you know, so I'm always in that headspace. That's why I like to take breaks from time to time, and I'll watch something that's just funny or goofy, you know, or sometimes I like watching this show Below Deck, of all shows. It's a reality show. I've watched a few seasons of it now. I'm an ex-Coast Guard guy, though, too. I was active duty for 8 years. I've always loved the water, you know. I fit in the water. I love being in the water. So I like anything around the water, and it's about a bunch of young people that work on these luxury yachts for a summer, and they go to all these beautiful places. And I guess more than anything, it just makes me think about the Coast Guard and traveling, and I like that aspect. It's not that I'm getting into all the drama of the show all the time, you know, but sometimes I do, you know, I got to admit, again, you turn off the brain sometimes, you just kind of enjoy some of these junk food type shows, realizing what it is, you know, and it's all right. So there you go. It's one of my darkest secrets ever. I enjoy watching Below Deck. Okay. So here we go. More empty stadiums, more empty stadiums. But, you know, the other thing, too, is I'm not saying this is necessarily bad news in this case either, because I'm all for if this is people turning off, you know, and because they're trying to program the people through these, you know, through our sports stars, through these teams. I need to do a video on that sometime. It's been crazy. You know, you've seen a lot of this, but they really are trying to program a lot. Well, I think last week we had a story about some famous football player, I can't remember his name, but he was saying that very same thing. He was saying it was all masonically controlled and that they really are trying to feminize people through the sports teams. So it's interesting. So see, again, I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. Maybe it's a good sign. You know, people are spending more time just, you know, doing other things, spending more time with their family in other ways other than just turning on the TV and watching this or going out to these games. Might still be watching it on TV. I don't know. But anyway, there you go. Google faces a new antitrust probe by 50 attorneys general. I just want to throw that out there. You know, there's been a lot of this stuff going on. Let me see if I have. Yeah, there's a few of these things going on. Check this out. So Google faces new antitrust probe by 50 attorneys general. It's going to get ugly. I don't like getting into all the specifics of it all and reading all the lawyer speak. But anyway, just kind of making a point. Google in some trouble here. There's some more stories that connect back with that Google in a second. Navy withholding data on UFO sightings, Congressman says. Of course, we're not surprised. Representative Mark Walker of North Carolina, the ranking member of the Intelligence and Counterterrorism Subcommittee, asked Secretary Richard Spencer in July to outline what resources the Navy is dedicating to investigating the sightings. UFO sightings. He also asked if officials have found physical evidence to substantiate the claims and whether they are aware of any foreign nations or private companies that have introduced breakthrough technologies that could explain them. Navy Undersecretary Thomas Modly responded in a brief letter on July 31st that the Department of the Navy takes these reports very seriously and continues to log sightings and fully investigate the accounts. All right, we'll see. We will see. But just slow disclosure, right? And I don't think it's going to end well, you know, the way I see it. For the kind of aliens I believe they want to introduce us to. They'll call them aliens. Right?
One American News is holding
that story I just accidentally clicked off was about Trump firing Bolton, which is great news, by the way. If you didn't know anything about Bolton, look him up. Look at some of the scandals he's been involved in. He's a real war hawk. I'm not for war anyway, anytime. That's why I went to the Coast Guard. It wasn't about war. It was about protecting the coast. You know, I like that. But so I'm not a big fan of war myself. Also, but, you know, I've had a lot of friends and family who've been in war. who've been in different services and served, and nothing against all that either. It's just, you know, it's just the world we're in. That's the way things run. We know this. You know, there's a lot of money in war. But anyway, Bolton, bad guy. Good news, in my opinion, that Trump fired him. Just going to throw that out there. Another lawsuit going on, and this is with Comcast and MSNBC. This is interesting. Check this out.
Comcast and MSNBC accountable for their actions and has filed a $10 million lawsuit against the networks. One America's Pearson Sharp explains how Rachel Maddow's words could soon cost her and her network more than they bargained for.
One America News is turning up the pressure on both Comcast and MSNBC, and on Monday filed a $10 million lawsuit against the networks. On July 22nd, Rachel Maddow made the outrageous claim on her show that One America News is, quote, really, literally paid Russian propaganda. Maddow then went on to say that OAN literally shares staff with the Kremlin and that one of OAN's journalists is, quote, paid by the Russian government to produce propaganda for that government.
We literally learned today that that outlet the president is promoting shares staff with the Kremlin. I mean, what? It's an easy thing to throw out, you know, like an epithet in the Trump era, right? Hey, that looks like Russian propaganda. In this case, the most obsequiously pro-Trump right-wing news outlet in America really literally is paid Russian propaganda. Their on-air U.S. politics reporter is paid by the Russian government to produce propaganda for that government.
One America News is an independent, family-owned and operated station and has never accepted any money from any outside sources, certainly not Russia or the Russian government. The lawsuit from OAN calls Maddow's attacks vicious libel and claims that she made the statements knowing full well they were false. So far, MSNBC has declined to comment on the situation, but OAN alleges that Comcast, which owns MSNBC, has discriminated against One America News because it doesn't fall in line with Comcast's own left-wing viewpoints. The lawsuit claims the attacks from Maddow were intended to both discredit One America News and damage its business by driving viewers away. It seems the mainstream media is just as eager to claim One America News is colluding with the Russians as they are President Trump and see an easy target in attacking the president's new favorite network. But One America News is fighting back and will pursue the case as high as necessary to hold the radical left-wing media accountable for their...
Anyway, you get the point, but that's another interesting case I'm kind of keeping my eyes on, see what happens with that. Oh, wait, let me see here. Let's come back to that. That'll be a good final doom break there.
And then ultimately...
Here's something I've been thinking about doing, just a live broadcast about sometime, about all the changes on YouTube and all these things that have been happening, but excuse me, but this one right here is massive. This has to do with an antitrust suit that was brought up against YouTube, and they've been fined $170 million. So... has to do with the COPPA, the Child Online Privacy Protection Act. And YouTube says it's going to be doing some massive changes to the website again. And these are basically, I just want to show you a short clip of this in a second, but basically the clips, or the, not clips, the basic message is this. In 4 months, I believe it is, January 1st is when this takes effect. All channels that are catered to children. In other words, like if children watch this channel, right? Like if a lot of children, which is 13 and under, are watching your channel, all of those channels will be 85% demonetized, and they're going to be losing their comment sections as well. So all of these huge channels that are dedicated to little kids and children that have been massive businesses for years on YouTube, they're all going down big. And now they're in this video, this guy, Daryl Eves is his name, if you want to check him out sometime. He's like I guess kind of a YouTube inside guy. I don't know. He knows a lot about it, so he's interesting to listen to. But so there's that, man. So he's kind of hypothesizing, the idea out there that perhaps this will go into gamers eventually too, because the algorithm is mainly going to be looking at, is there a large amount of children watching your content? So they believe it's going to affect gamers. I think it's going to wind up affecting a lot of things, as all these algorithm changes do. it's unbelievable, how bad it affects our channel, some of us, and really screws us over. My videos haven't been performing the same way in like 3 months. The shows do okay. Like anything live broadcast seems to be let go and it gets to, get out there. But videos are different. My channel's down like 511% views or something like that. I mean, it's unbelievable. I was looking at the other day. It's all red. It's crazy. So, and I know it's not just me. This is the algorithm change. It's happened to a lot of other people too. It just sucks. Anyway, but YouTube's going to be making another change here in a second. But here's a big deal that all YouTube creators need to listen to and pay attention, because here's possibly the wave of
as a content creator. If you
not really possibly, I think this is the the wave of the future. Let's see what happens here. Listen to this. This is from a guy at the Federal Trade Commission as well. So you're about to see.
But it's going to come after you as a content creator if you actually try to mislead it.
Strong penalties in future cases against content creators and channel owners as well, particularly when we would have a situation where the channel owner was specifically asked, are you child directed? And the channel owner said no. Not only can we sue Google and YouTube for compliance with COPPA, but also individual channel owners and content creators. So the analogy that I think of, imperfect, is the expression about shooting fish in a barrel. And YouTube is the barrel, and the content creators are the fish. And so it's a place where this content is centralized, and essentially it's easy for us to find.
So YouTube's just the beginning, and
Yikes, right? I mean, seriously, did you hear that? Yikes. So what they're going to be doing here pretty soon is implementing this new system that it asks, if it's going to ask us, creators on YouTube, if the video you're uploading is, aimed towards children, and of course I'll always be saying no. They're saying that anybody who gets caught lying about that to get around the algorithm so they can make money on their videos, that now they can be sued, right, by the government under COPPA. So that's a very scary precedent. Yeah, be keeping our eyes on that one as well. This right here is, I guess you could say, our doom break for the night. This is lovely. I love little videos like this. I'd love to see more of this. Anyway, check this out.
My friend, you are just adorable.
It was nice, right? It's a nice little end to the evening. I love seeing nice little stories like that from time to time. There we go, guys. So I'm back over here in the chat. Just, once again, I wanted to thank you for being here. Hope you had a good evening. Hope you enjoyed the show. And thanks for the moderators as well. Great job as always. And also, I always like to end the show with a short prayer, guys. I hope you don't mind. I don't like to, I used to never do this, but I brought it in over the last few months or so. I've just felt it's more important to start putting that out there a little bit more. And it's always nice to have a prayer. You know what I mean? The world's going kind of crazy. So on that note, Heavenly Father, thanks again, Lord, for this platform and for a place where all of us can meet up and hang out and chat and get together. Look at some of these crazy things of the world through your lens, though, Lord. Hopefully everyone's seeing it through that lens. And thank you for that, Lord. And also just please, touch everyone's heart out there who's listening and taking time to listen to this, and fill us all with peace, Father, please. I know a lot of people are out there living in fear. A lot of people are nervous all the time and anxious, and there's all these anxieties in this world, and it's crazy. So, Father, please I pray you appease that in all of us, and thank you for that peace as well. And on that note, I love you, and in Jesus' name I pray, amen. Guys, thanks again. And as always, too, huge shout out to my Patreon and PayPal supporters. Guys, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it. I've recently got a sponsor. I've been trying that out, or they're trying me out to see how it goes. And this month, if you want to click the link below, you can actually get a free download on the phone. It's a game called Raid. Check that out. And it's free. You get like 50,000 free silver coins if you download it. And it's for my sponsors. At least it kind of supports the channel by showing some interest there. If you don't mind, check it out. Otherwise, if you're interested in supporting my work through Patreon or PayPal, there'll be links below. And I mentioned at the beginning of the show, guys, I have a new video I've been working on a couple weeks now. It was ready last night. This morning, my editing that I go through, my screen capture editor, something got jacked up on it, and it's not uploading everything out of the video. It's weird. So I'm just going to break it apart and probably do it again. But I'll have something up here in a few days. I don't like going more than a week without putting up a good big video. But that's enough. Now I'm rambling. So I'll just say goodnight to you guys. Thanks again. Much love to you. Have a wonderful week. And and I think tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'm going to have Casey on from Into the Stars. We're going to hang out and chat about some things. I'll probably post that up here just a little bit later, so be looking for that, okay? Thanks again, guys. Take care.